Thanks for joining us, everyone. I know that your time is the most valuable asset that you have, so I'm excited that you chose to spend time with us today on this mastermind. And I have to tell you, the subject that we're talking about today is something that I love to get super nerdy on. And my fellow nerd, Greg, is here to talk to us all about how to automate your database. And I have to say this, Greg came from Austin, Texas. He's visiting some friends here in Colorado, and we nerded out over tacos the other night, and are going to have another nerd out session today talking about automation. So this is something I'm super passionate about. Automations can take your business to the next level, and Greg, who is ranked one of the top % realtors nationwide, former U.S. Navy veteran, who adheres to a culture and mindset and values like nobody I know, is an amazing entrepreneur. He also facilitates a men's group. So he is the master of networking. And what I love about Greg is that he has his business on automation in a way that is just beautiful. There's no other way to say it. So Greg, I am so excited that you're here today joining us. Yeah, let's get started. Should we get started, Greg? Let's do this.
It's on.
It's on. Yeah. So, Greg, you got the floor.
Ooh, well, thank you so much. Really appreciate the intro. Welcome, everybody. What we're going to be talking about today is a couple of really basic principles when it comes to the CRM, also known as your data bank or your database, whatever you want to call it. Okay. Whenever I draw a bullseye of lead generation, right in the middle of the target is the CRM, because it's the most, or your data bank rather, because it's the most important way to lead generate. Okay, so we're going to really tap into that today. Do I happen to have screen sharing capabilities? Let's check. Send request. Voila. Here we go. Let's do it.
Dana White. Yeah. Ooh, look at this supercar on Greg's computer.
Right before this, I test drove an Aston Martin. It was so.
I love that. Okay, tell the story as to why you drove the Aston Martin.
Well, it's on my vision board for this year, and it just makes it more real. Being able to touch it, to drive it, creates the excitement, boosts up the energy. So yeah, it felt really good.
I love that.
My coach said, "Yeah, said you better send me a picture of you in that car, or else we're gonna fight." There you go. So we're going to talk about is working your data bank. I call it the data bank for a reason, because it's your bank, right? It's what pays you. Work your data bank like a pro. Again, a couple of basics, then we're going to get a little bit more immersive after this, right? The best CRM, this is a fundamental principle. The best CRM is a CRM that you use. Okay, I'm going to ask a question about that here shortly. Who here uses a CRM by show of hands? Who actually has one? Okay, that's not a spreadsheet, by the way. That's not a spreadsheet. Okay, awesome, great. When it comes to the varying levels of performance, there's some out there that I call similar to like a Ferrari, right? It's got all the bells and whistles. And then there's more basic versions, and you definitely get what you pay for when using a CRM, okay? Again, it doesn't matter which one you use, it's the one that you do use. It's not, or you know what I'm trying to say. It's the one that you use every day that matters the most. More expensive does not mean that it is better. Okay? How to choose a CRM. Again, sticking to the fundamentals. You can create a spreadsheet to start, right? You're gonna actually wanna do that to prepare yourself for a mass import to your automated CRM. You're gonna also look to see if you can add various features such as a dialer, right? Some CRMs have one included, which really helps with efficiency. Automatic text messaging, if we're gonna use that, then that's probably gonna cause an additional fee. Automatic emails, most CRMs have automatic emails. If it doesn't, that's one essential that I would highly recommend getting with your CRM. Asking other realtors in your office which ones they use. Again, because you want to use the one that's going to prompt you to dive in there that you like to click around on every single day. Just like you use your phone every day, you're using your CRM every day. And again, last little pro tip, you can negotiate price with these folks. I've done it before, so just give it a shot. Now, of course, we said this about 5 times. I'm going to hammer this home, everybody. The CRM should be used every day. It's the lifeblood of your business. And then what we want to do is think about conversion ratios. Now, pay close attention here. Professional level conversion ratios for the amount of people in your data bank to the amount of closed deals every year is 8%. Okay, so if you want to do this right now, just get your calculator out, check how many people are in your data bank, and then check how many closed transactions you had in the past 12 months. And the question is, what percentage is that? Again, pro expert level is 8%. Now, once you've chosen your CRM, we want to take a look at the different trainings that they offer, because these things can be really complex and we want to squeeze every last drop out of what it offers because you're paying for it and you want to use it to its full capabilities. I also encourage you to book time on your calendar, to dive in there, to see what it can do, because it's almost like the first time you ever play a video game, right? You got the control sticks, you don't know which buttons do what, and there's a big learning curve. And some of these CRMs out there, like those Ferraris that we talked about earlier, you know, they're highly complex. You just want to make sure that you're using it for everything it can do. It's okay to become obsessed with your CRM. I certainly am. I love it. Now, we talked a little bit about conversion ratios. We want to reach that 8% mark, right? That's the goal. Beyond that, it's really important to record all of your metrics. This is going to give you an idea of what needs improvement. So if you have a pen and paper, I'm going to ask you guys to write down a few things here, okay? This is called the wall of value, okay? First, it's leads or outbound attempts, okay? I'm going to write this down with you guys. Outbound attempts. Right. Your CRM should be able to track this for you. The second thing is conversations. How many real estate conversations in a day based off those outbound attempts? Okay. The third thing is appointments set. Again, your CRM can track this. Appointment set. And the fourth thing is appointments held. We're almost done with this. Appointments held. And the last thing is agreements signed. Okay. The reason we want to keep track of these things with the help of our CRM is because it's going to show us what we need to improve upon. For example, if you're having a ton of outbound attempts, but you're not getting the conversations, or if you're having a lot of conversations, but you're not setting the appointments, that might tell you that it could simply be a scripting challenge, which is going to prompt you to focus more on your scripts. Or let's say you're setting a lot of appointments, but you're not getting a lot of agreements signed. This is going to say that we probably need more practice on our consultations. Who here tracks these metrics to a T by a show of hands? Who here knows their numbers like nobody's business? Why is my hand raised on this thing? That's funny.
Well, and Greg, I want to pause for just a quick second because I know Jennifer is on the call and Jennifer is not a real estate agent. But what I want to highlight is that these numbers can be converted for any service-based industry. And so I use the same KPIs in my coaching business so that I can understand where in the funnel am I losing traction. So I just want to, I mean, this works for any service-based industry.
Great point. Jennifer, thanks for being on the call. That's cool. So again, we want to use the CRM every day. How many times have I said that so far? 6. Use it to contact your clients or anybody in your data bank a minimum of 36 times a year. Okay. We're going to put an emphasis on this piece. How do we stay in touch with the people in our data bank a minimum of 36 times? Well, a couple things you can do. Those automated emails, right? You can invite them to events. That'll give you a few more touches. The automated text messages, phone calls, checking in, home anniversary cards, right? The list goes on. Now, what's really cool about your data bank, whichever one you use, is that you get to create an action plan that helps you, or an auto plan, or a smart plan, depending on what CRM you use, that allows you to simply click a button and apply it to any lead. This is my favorite part about using a CRM. It helps you leverage your time and stay on track of your contacts. Now, beyond that, we're going to get a little bit more organized. Okay, let's say, for example, you're lead generating with all these different avenues: Facebook leads, open houses, cold calling, expireds, so on and so forth. It's really important to tag every single contact. That's going to give you some context as to how you should follow up with them. So let's say, for example, I host an open house. I've got 5 people that walk through the door. I get all of their contact information. Immediately, I'm putting them in my data bank. From there, I tag every single one. Then I apply the smart plan or the auto plan accordingly. I have an open house specific smart plan. We also want to use tags sparingly. Like it can really gum up your data bank if there's too many in there. So if you want to, after this call or sometime in the near future, go through and check how many tags you have and just delete the ones that are not helpful for your business, because sometimes they automatically populate and it just becomes a mess. Lastly, you want to fill out as much data as possible. For example, are they married? When's their wedding anniversary? Do they have kids? This is going to allow you to provide the best level of service possible, because ultimately we are in a relationship business. So the more we know about the people in our data bank, the better level of service we can provide. One thing I really like is the home anniversary. I use a website called amcards.com, and it can automatically send them a card every year from when they moved into their house. Systems, baby. We got a couple of options here when it comes to CRMs. Just for, again, this is just basic information. Mojo costs about $10 a month. It is one step above a spreadsheet. It's $10. You got Lion Desk for $80. Command, if you're with Keller Williams, is free. Brivity base price is $150, and Chime, last I checked, is also $150. Just in case you guys didn't have context there, I wanted to share that. Okay. Now, let's take a deep breath in. We just threw a lot of information at you. Before we go on to the next segment, I'd like to open up for a few questions, if that's okay.
Yes. Well, Greg, the timing of this mastermind is so key, because in our Forward Momentum community, which is the membership coaching site that I run, we just came off of a challenge, which was how to create the automations. So you talked about 36 touches, right? Which is something that we get from our friend Gary Keller, right? Talks about 36 touches. I know he's talking from stage and saying it needs to be more like 72 touches.
Great.
The two things that I would throw in there, if you're looking at additional touch points with your clients, is incorporating 2 client events. Greg, how do you incorporate client events into your touch system?
Yeah. So when it comes to my touch system, it's not necessarily something that I use with my CRM. The only time I'll use my CRM in conjunction with an event is when it comes to filtering who I'm going to send the invitations to. Yeah, because they're tagged accordingly, right? Either sphere of influence or past clients. Those 2 people. So I just highlight those 2 tags, click them. And then all of a sudden I get this massive list of everybody I want to send the invitations to. From there, I can send out batch text messages. I can send out batch emails. Those are 2 touches right there. Super easy, really fast. Second to that, I'm going to also call them ahead of time. So that's touch number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if they show up, that's touch number 4.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't show up, or if they do show up post-event,
Mm-hmm.
send them a card in the mail, and you're going to say, thank you so much for coming, or hey, sorry we missed you. Hope to see you at the next one. So in one event, that's 5 touches. You get 2 events, that's 10 touches. So you can add that to your smart plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. That's great. Now, something that I personally do is something called a pop-up happy hour. A pop-up happy hour. The reason I do this is because it allows me to create really easy to host events. And the way I break it down is geographically. So for example, in Austin, we have a ton of smaller cities that surround it, all within an hour. So I'll break it down. We've got Georgetown and Round Rock, which are north of Austin. I'll reach out to all my Georgetown and my Round Rock past clients or friends, both, and I'll send them an invite the week of for a happy hour event at a local venue. And again, I get so many touches out of that, and I get to break it up geographically, which, you know, if I don't want to throw a huge event, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It's a great way to do an event on a smaller scale. Low cost, if there's any cost at all, for those that, you know, maybe young in the business, they don't have a lot of out-of-pocket, don't want to have a lot of out-of-pocket costs, they can do something like this. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Other questions?
Oh, you got questions?
This is our pause moment for questions for Greg before we go into section number 2.
My bad.
Can Mojo do everything with the built-ins that you're talking about?
Ooh, Mojo can do automatic emails. It doesn't have automatic texts, but what it does have task reminders, which is really important. It's also got action plans as well.
So with the laws that changed that made it harder to text, do some of those better CRMs protect you from that?
They do, like Brivity, for example. It'll automatically add if you want to unsubscribe, go ahead and click here on your first text message. After that, it won't say that again.
Perfect. Thank you.
These are things to be aware of when CRM shopping. Now, let's get into the fun stuff, okay? Lead flow. We're going to break this down to the most simplistic level ever. We're going to talk about lead flow, and then we're going to talk about a daily task list that we should follow every day, okay? Let's say, for example, you've got your Facebook leads coming in. You've got your expired withdrawn FSBO leads. You name it. Whatever it is, we want to go ahead and embed the habit to put it in our CRM as fast as possible. That's step 1. So anybody we meet out in town, we get their contact information. At the end of the day, we feed the machine. Okay, part of database management is to feed it every day, just like using it every day. Once we input the information, we want to add as much detail as possible to that. Anything we can remember about the conversations that we had, any birthdays, so on and so forth. Once we fill out their contact card as much as possible, then every single person in your CRM should be on an action plan. Remember that. It's a key principle. So whether it's an expired lead, open house, somebody you met in town, every single person gets put on the action plan. Now, what is that going to do for us? It's going to prompt us to make sure that we have an action plan that's appropriate for any lead subtype. And we can have a laundry list of action plans. This is where the work comes into play. Because sure, a CRM that you buy tomorrow might have a few options in there, but they could be a little bit messy or a little too generic. So we need to spend time. We need to book time on our calendars to go ahead and work on our follow-up systems, okay? So lead goes in. We update the contact card. Immediately apply the appropriate action plan, right? And then you wash, rinse, and repeat every day. So then what we're going to be doing, what we're going to be noticing in our business, we're going to be doing a lot of lead generation up front. And then slowly but surely, our calendar is going to be more focused towards lead follow-up. You're going to have so many follow-up tasks in a day that your lead generation is actually going to diminish a little bit. Something to be aware of, right? We want to make sure we time block accordingly for when those shifts happen. We need to be aware of those shifts as well. Beyond that, creating our daily checklist, okay? You're going to want to create a daily checklist that is applicable to your business and the CRM that you use, right? There's going to be a couple of most important things that your CRM would allow you to do. What I mean by that is, like, I know Brivity, for example, it allows you to check who was recently in your on your website looking at homes. It allows you to see what homes they were looking at, so on and so forth. But if your CRM doesn't do that, you're obviously not going to add that to your daily checklist. Right? One thing that I always do that we can all start with is make sure that we check off our overdue tasks. Step 1 on my CRM daily checklist, check overdue tasks. Step 2, check off new tasks or tasks that are due today. Okay. Step 3, what would I do if I had a generic CRM? Step 3, I would go ahead and contact any new leads. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to have any new leads left over. Okay. Or if you don't have a funnel of leads coming in and then they're tagged new leads, how about this? We reach out to the leads that we put in there that day, right? So again, what we want to do is make sure that we create a daily checklist so we know exactly what we need to do at work. More questions?
Greg, I just want to pop in and say I love having a daily checklist because one of the things that I hear from most agents, even high performers, is I don't know what, I don't know where to prioritize, essentially. The words that usually come out of their mouth is like, I don't know what to do every day. But what that really means is I don't know what to prioritize every day. And so what Greg is saying is, like, you prioritize your data bank because that ensures that you have a steady pipeline no matter what season you're in. And the other thing that I'll add on to that, Greg, is that most agents experience I got really, really busy, didn't jump into my data bank, didn't do my follow-ups. I just focused on closing what was in front of me. And now I go into a lull because I didn't keep the consistency of going into my data bank, feeding my data bank, and following up with my data bank. So their businesses go from highs to lows, from highs to lows. And that's based on your inconsistent actions. And so what Greg is saying is to create a steady pipeline in your business, a predictable pipeline in your business. You've got to prioritize your data bank. And I love the idea of having a daily checklist. And I'll go you one more. Greg, do you have a scorecard that you keep for yourself every week where you reflect on your daily activities?
In the sense that I know how many leads I need to add every single week to my CRM, and did I accomplish that goal? Because the reason I need to track how many leads I add is gonna show the results of closings that I get in a year, right? How many leads do I need to add to get X amount of closings? If I don't hit that, there's a good chance I won't hit my closings goal. Yep. So I consider that my scorecard. Tell me about your scorecard. What's on it? I'm curious.
My scorecard?
Yeah.
Oh, well, my scorecard is always evolving and changing, but I will talk a little bit about for non-real estate agents, I am using Go High Level, and I'm in the process of setting up my own system. And what I like about Go High Level is I can take my scorecard metrics and put it in a dashboard and see it every day when I log in. So I'm in the process of developing that. Yeah.
And I know that I used to have Brivity, and it would have a scorecard already there on the main page, the main dashboard. That was a nice function. that I kind of miss. I just switched to Follow Up Boss. Um, yeah, scorecard's essential. You should review it every single week. Mhm.
And I will say in my previous business, I literally old school would have a worksheet and it was printed 52 times. And every week I would just go in and fill it out and I could start seeing trends. And that's really helpful. And the reason why that's helpful is rather than jumping in and dismantling a whole system, if you're tracking your trends, you can pinpoint where in the machine do we have a break, and I'm just going to go fix that break. I don't need to take apart the whole machine. So keeping a scorecard is really helpful. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be built into your CRM. It could literally just be pen and paper.
Yeah, keep it simple. Just got to start somewhere. That's a great point. What questions do we have about either lead flow, creating action plans, CRM utilization? Curious to get some feedback from folks on this call.
I'm going to start picking on folks. Frank, what you
Hi,
got?
Yeah.
Hey, good
morning.
to see you.
Good morning. So I have my database in two. I'm working on blending them together. So you have everybody in one, Greg? All your databases is in one?
So because I'm with Keller Williams, I use command for the neighborhood report function, right? Follow Up Boss does not have that neighborhood report function.
Okay.
Yeah, because I want to get everybody with their market reports. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Hey, you got it.
I want to point out an important distinction though. You do, if you create, so what Greg mentioned was that he's in Follow Up Boss, so you can put everything into a central CRM and have it talk to other CRMs too. So for instance, if you had everybody in Follow Up Boss, they could also go into HomeBot for like monthly reports. They could also go into, Mailbox Power for birthday brownies and home anniversaries or whatnot. So you can set up integrations with your central CRM. But the way that you want to design your system is the CRM's like in the middle of your wheel. And then you've got all these different spokes, and the spokes talk to the CRM, and the CRM talks to those spokes. But you do want to have a central hub in the middle. Sorry, Greg, not to steal your thunder, but I was just thinking
No.
about that.
Well, yeah, there's that. We call those integrations. Yeah. And then some CRMs, like those super tricked out ones, they literally have every single thing in one. Like like Brivity, for example. I know that the owners, they're saying that if another company does it, we're either going to buy that company or recreate it and add it to our CRM. So that's another thing to be mindful of, that there's CRMs that literally have everything in one spot. Yep. Yeah, Follow Up Boss is one of those where it's got your core and then you've got all the legs going off. You can use all the different services and integrate it with it. Yeah.
About the tagging, because tagging is tagging across all different platforms. My big brain wants to hyper tag everything to say that their region, their military affiliation, their military spouse. Is it better to like over tag or under? I don't know, like I said, my hyperbrain wants to like tag everything so that way I can make sure that like when I'm doing just military spouse affiliated things, it's just military spouse affiliated things, so on and so forth. Do you see, I mean, obviously, probably more tags are better now that I talk about this, but does it also get cluttered at times? Question mark.
Yeah, so I pretty much associate my tags with the amount of action plans that I have. Any of those nitty gritty details, like let's say, for example, well, give me an example. What's one tag that you've got right now, random?
So for instance, we had a big population, let's say in Seattle. So would I want to tag them as Washington State, broad, or Seattle hyperlocal?
What kind of action plan can you attach to Seattle hyperlocal? Does it make sense?
Events in the area, or maybe JB, what's up out there? I'm sorry. It's not JBLM that's up there. It's the other one. Lindsay, do you remember what's up
I was
there?
just gonna say JBLM. I can't remember the other one.
Okay, yeah. So JBLM is up there, so they have events up in the JBLM area. So would I still want like the whole Washington state to be alerted, question mark, or try and keep that once again like kind of like more hyper local to the JBLM Seattle area?
Yeah, I
Or
think
does an
that.
extra tag not just have an extra tag and that's all it is an extra tag?
Yeah, I just don't want to think we want to get super micro, like one tag for only 5 people in your whole data bank, right? If it's covering like, I don't know, maybe 20 or more people, and it makes sense for the amount of people you already have, then that's fine. We just don't want to get overly like too specific with them.
Well, and I'll step in and say this, Jennifer, like, I'm assuming having hyperlocal tags like Seattle would equate to doing an event in that area. And so it might make sense to have a hyperlocal tag for that. If you were to say, like, we're going to do a pop-up military spouse event in Seattle, we're going to apply it. But, and then my brain goes to, but you could apply it to the whole state, and it just gives you an additional touch point with the whole state, right? To say this is an event we're doing there. And you never know, somebody from there could be like, hey, could you do this event in my area? So I almost feel like I kind of like the broader approach, even if it might not like be so specific, just because it gives you a broader reach if it's your marketing message.
I think at the end of the day, like I'm trying to talk myself into this to get into the system and like tag all of them, that it's not harmful to put the extra tags as long as, yeah, like you said, it's not like two. Like I think I have one for like Colorado Springs. I think I have like one tag in there. Or like
Yeah.
Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Like
Yeah.
it hasn't garnered enough action in those areas, for instance.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
if
I
when
think
in doubt, like you go back to Greg's ideology where it's like, okay, does it associate with an existing campaign or action that I'm trying to take with these people, right?
And then Shannon actually asked, you said not to have too many tags. Similarly, how many automatic email campaigns do you have?
yeah, me personally,
Because Shannon's getting her hair did, I think.
Yeah,
So
Shannon's getting her hair did. Shannon, you could come off mute if you want, if you're not in the blow dryer.
I'm not in the blow dryer. I was just asking, so you were talking about not having too many tags, like for 5 people, but I'm building out all these like automatic email campaigns and I'm kind of getting lost with them. So I just want to hear from you or from others. How many of those would you recommend so they don't get lost in the shuffle?
yeah, for me, it's as little as possible. I think right now I have about 15 based off my particular business. And what they include are the open house people because I host open houses. So I've got a open house auto email campaign that goes out. I've got a past client local campaign. So all things that are for the greater Austin area. I also have a past client non-local email campaign that just once a month email that goes out letting them know I'm still here, and that's good for referrals. Any withdrawn or expired lead that I talk to, because I call them every morning, I've got a follow-up system for them that talks about maximizing profits, so on and so forth. So it all depends on who you're talking to, what needs to be said. I try to, again, just kind of do less. Less is more.
I'll jump in and say, Shannon, I love to overcomplicate it, which is probably why I was like, Jennifer, let me tell you about why I would have like 40 million tags in my system. And Anna can probably attest going into my flow desk and looking at all my tags. And then I try to reel myself back and say, okay, simple. So I like what Greg is saying, like keep it simple, because you can all like we overcomplicate it and then we spend all this time and energy focused on like tagging when we should really just be out there networking and feeding the data bank, because you can't go down a rabbit hole of like making this intricate system. So you have to balance your time with building the system and feeding the system.
Now, one point I'm going to bring up before we get another question in here is, let's say, for example, you're going to put all of your sphere of influence past clients on a, 72 touch program. Let's do that, right? We want to build that out start building it out in October, right? That way it's really fine tuned. You have plenty of time to actually get it perfected. Then we're going to go ahead and apply it to all of those leads January 1st. The reason being is because some of those emails that they're getting only make sense to be sent in May, for example, right? So they're time specific. The expired, withdrawn follow-up plan that I have is very generic. So these are things we want to be mindful of. Like, is the message I'm sending sensible to the person that's getting it? What are topics, hot topics, questions? This is buzzing. What do we got?
Jennifer had a question. She was off mute and then she went back to mute.
Oh, Jennifer.
Well, you said, and I like that idea, obviously scheduling stuff out. We love to schedule stuff out. But you said that you have certain templates that you use. Is there like a database that you use for certain templates? Like I know Canva has great templates, but then you also have to brand the templates that they have in Canva. Do you have something that you use for your automations visually?
Ooh. So my one CRM that I have, I only upload real estate agents in it, okay? Because I want to stay in contact with realtors from around the country. And we send out a newsletter and we use Canva for that, right? But that's something that we want to be pretty. We want to be somewhat interactive, okay? So yeah, Canva's great. Now, what about my 72 Touch program though? I don't have the flashy newsletters that go out in my 72 Touch. I don't. The reason being is because I want all that to be highly automated. And for a CRM to send automatic emails with the flashy stuff, I haven't figured out a way to do that. So what I do is I go on ChatGPT and I say, I need appropriate emails to be sent out once a month and then make it Austin, Texas specific. So for example, like in January, it's like, hey, these are the greatest new events that are coming out for January in Austin, right? Or hey, here's some really great restaurants. That'll be my February email. And it literally spells it out. I copy, paste, and then insert it in my action plan on the CRM.
I want to jump in here for a hot second and just say, okay, my marketing brain has done a lot of research on HTML and non-HTML emails. And so I just want to throw some of that out there. So creating a fully beautiful HTML email, statistically speaking, has a lower deliverability and view rate than a full HTML email. And so if I'm talking in acronyms and you're like, what the heck does that mean? And a non-HTML email is an email that's just words and text, okay? And that's kind of what Greg is talking about here with the automations. Your words and text will have a higher deliverability rate because of all the filters and things that happen in the email with pretty pictures. So this always comes up in my coaching clients. Folks are like, I just bought all these templates on Etsy and they're beautiful and they go into Canva and I update them, but why is my open rate so low? And it's because you don't have any text. So when the email provider is getting that email and they're scanning it, they're saying like, there's nothing in this. Spam. So you're hitting spam filters. So I just want to bring that up. Some of my best converting emails, okay, I'm gonna give a little secret here, is it's like, hey Jennifer, how are things going? What's happening in your business? And then the signature line says, sent from Lindsay's iPhone. And then I push all the unsubscribe down. So Jennifer thinks she's getting an email from my iPhone. I will get a 60% return on those emails versus a really pretty Canva emails. I still send pretty Canva emails, although I don't make them in Canva, I make them in Flowdesk. But those little HTML text emails, best response rates.
That is a pro tip if I ever heard one. Thank you. I wrote that down.
I actually had it scheduled in my CRM to go out quarterly. And so it would, once a quarter, you would get an email that looks like it was sent from Lindsay's iPhone. And I called them my one-liner emails because it would just be like, hey, Greg, it's been a while since we chatted. Do you have an upcoming PCS? What's happening?
Yeah, one-liners.
One-liners.
Keep it simple. Keep it organic. I like it.
Yeah. the key with the email is just to get people to raise their hand so you can have a conversation, because a conversion happens in the conversation.
Mm-hmm. Boom. What else? Kobe, you got a question, thought, excitement?
So no, I think what's so exciting is, well, it was kind of crazy because I had a call from a realtor when I was on this that I'm about to do a BDR relationship, so that kind of got crazy. But no, I feel like that's the thing. Every morning I'm doing stuff on my CRM that I'm focused on doing it, and I feel like all these little tips, like Lindsay sharing, all these little things, it's just, I feel like it's just being consistent. And I think it's just having to think outside the box that, I don't know. I just, for me, what I feel like is that it's just like I've got ConvertKit that's running my emails. I've done Go High Level, all these other things. I've used Phone Burner. I guess for me, my biggest thing with like getting it all automated is making sure it actually all works together. And I feel like that's kind of been my biggest issue is like, I have to go add this add-on. I have to go add this little thing. I have to go add this thing. Oh, now I need permissions to go add this thing because now this law came out. And it's just, that's where I'm just trying to be like, let me be able to talk to, because I have a leads database of like 12,000 people, that if I could just be like, I need this stuff to go out easy. I just want my inbox flow. I know there should be leads flowing from that, but it's just so much effort to go figure out. And every time someone wants to give me a solution, it's kind of like, we're talking 4 figures, we're talking 5 figures annually. And it's just like, how do we build this? How do we build the Ferrari that's going to win? And that's kind of what I'm running into.
Okay, you won't be upset if you don't pay a lot of money for your Ferrari if it doesn't win. Let's start.
Mhm.
So maybe start off with like stripping expenses, if at all possible, and then rebuilding your CRM. This past winter, I swapped CRMs, right? I booked 2 weeks on my calendar to just do that. It was so much clicking, but it was my goal to have perfection in it, right? Everybody tagged, as much contact information as possible, everybody on a smart plan, right? Sticking to those fundamentals. Once you get that, that's priority number 1. We want to make sure we have that first at a low cost possible. Then priority number 2 is your choice, right? What are we missing? What's the most important piece to my follow-up system? And is there something that perhaps I should leverage? Maybe expense a little bit more for that, right?
Yeah, I feel like that's the thing for me. I just feel like text messaging got really clunky after the ruling in December, and I just still haven't found the best solution. That I know how to do automated emails. It's super boring, but like doing the automated texts on a consistent basis and having it where I don't have to magically pull that from a CRM and I can just move that into a actual, I don't want to have to move that from my phone into a CRM. I just want it all to work. And that's kind of my biggest issue that I'm running into right now. And you can hear my 2-year-old in the
I was
background.
gonna say, like,
Back
you're
from
all your
preschool.
babies.
Yes, my preschooler is just back. But
Aw.
yeah, so that's my thing. Is just like, how do we get it where I need my texting to work, because the emails are great, but like you've said, text messages are what Lindsay just said about your one-liners. A text message can be that one-liner that just done and we win. And that's what I just feel like that's my thing right now. I don't have my one-liner working the way I want.
All right,
Can I
well,
jump in, Greg?
what?
Can I jump in, Greg?
Oh yeah, yep.
I was gonna say, okay, so Kobe, here's my advice. I would say you need to map out, pen and paper, the action plans and what you want people, like, I want to text here, I want to email here, I want this here, this here. Then here's my gangster move, okay?
Gangsta, let's go.
Okay, then you contact someone. Like, I've got a gal, her name is Paige. She's setting up all my automation. And because I can articulate to her, this is what I want, right? This is what I want it to do. I know enough to be dangerous. And then I say, build it. And then she builds it. And so, like, you can go one of 2 ways. You can do what Greg did and book 2 weeks. I'm coming out of actually the 3 days this week. I just built out all my automations. And then you do it that way, or you architect it and have somebody else implement it. But either way, you're losing money by not talking to the 12,000 people in your database.
Agreed.
Yeah. To piggyback on that, I would say I would start off with something like this. Just create an automatic once a month text message smart plan. Okay. Before you go ahead and create it, figure out who is going to get that monthly text message. Right. So, and then also make it generic, because if you apply it to somebody in May, we still want it to make sense for somebody that you apply it in January. Okay. Again, you can use ChatGPT to come up with some options as far as what you're going to text. Try it with 5 people. Start small. We want to get that momentum. And it's only 12 messages. To give you some inspiration, some things that I do, I write jokes sometimes to people in my CRM. Dad jokes. And then they respond back, LOL, right? It's engagement, right? Sometimes I'll just say, hey, this is Greg in my business line. How have you been? Question mark. And because it's automatic, it's like, it just makes it amazing. So I would encourage you to, if you don't have that already, do something that's really minimalist. And it should only take about 10 minutes to create. Try it.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Greg.
Hey, anytime, man. Thanks for bringing it up. Jennifer, I like signing my chapter leads off with random quotes. You can dodge a ball, but you can't dodge a wrench. Movie quotes.
Yes.
So my chapter leads obviously and to go back to what you're saying, I like the idea of jokes. I've been getting this random text from Rich about selling my house, which we did over a year ago. And when it comes through twice. So now I'm getting distracted twice as often. And my house has been sold for over a year now. So from the recipient end, I even tried responding back to that text message saying, hey, this is a double ping, and giving him the respect of. Now he's just flat blocked. So there's also that side, like you said, definitely give it a demo for the recipient end as well.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of a joke or something lighthearted, or something that B. Arthur would say on whatever that show was, all the Golden Girls.
Oh,
yeah, because when we think about the whole purpose of this, it's all we're doing is reminding people that we exist, and sometimes we remind them that we're realtors, right? Shannon, take care. So nice to meet you today. She's gotta go. So, yeah, guys, we crushed it today. We crushed it.
Gregory, we got 8 minutes.
Yeah, I know. Let's keep going. What else we got? Frank.
So for me, guys, it's just, again, I have my core past clients. Is it okay to name drop CRMs?
Yes.
On the referral maker for Buffini. So my actual past clients are all there. I'm part of KW, so I have command where everybody else is going and the smart plans are flowing. I also have my Buffini people in there because we're getting my just listed, pending, sold, and I have HomeBot. So in the future, I'm probably going to get rid of command and just stick to Follow Up Boss and have somebody do the plans for me. I'm trying to just minimalize it because I know myself. I'm like, well, what does this do? And now I don't even mess with that, right? And the biggest thing is just calling our past clients.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at.
I think simplicity is underrated with most things in life. So yeah, I support that, to keep it as simple as possible. Yeah. A question for you, Frank. Do you have any VA staff or admin staff in your organization?
Yes, for now.
For now?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The reason I bring this up is because, let's say, for example, you decide that what you just said is actually not a great option.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps you can leverage your admin or VA staff to help run one side of things. Like my newsletter that I send out to all the realtors through command.
Mm-hmm.
My VA staff makes it, they upload it, and they send it out. That way I don't even have to sign into Command.
Got it.
Or adding everybody to a neighborhood report, which we talked about Command does. That's for the past client piece. Well, all those people are tagged. So what I did was just downloaded it from Follow Up Boss, past clients, etc. The VA staff uploaded it into Command and applied that auto plan to all those contacts. I didn't have to go into Command again.
Right.
To consider.
Okay. Thank you.
Wow. Amazing.
All right. Any other questions? Jennifer, Melissa, Sherry? I know y'all are off camera, but feel free to post questions. This is a mastermind. This is where you get to talk directly to the master.
Let's go.
Have you used Fiverr to outsource any of your things?
No, I personally went through Brevity VA to find because I had Brevity at one point. So those were where I found my VA staff. Now, if you want to be more like consider other options, you can go direct to source. For example, onlinejobs.ph. Right? It's like Indeed.com here. You buy a 1 month subscription. You cancel it right away because you won't need 2 months because you get a bunch of applicants in a matter of no time. You set the cost, what you're willing to pay them. You put out the job posting, and within a few days, you'll have probably hundreds of applicants. And then the real work comes into the interview process to see if it's a good fit. And then again, you don't have to pay like the VA companies additional fees.
Jennifer, I've had a lot of success with Upwork. So what I like about it is I'll have a project. Let's say I want social media templates created. You can go into Upwork, research, you can set your budget and say your budget for the whole project is like $250 or whatever. And then you can, screen applicants and whatnot. Look at previous work that they've done. I haven't been super successful with the logo creation stuff. I will say I wasted some money there, but, other things I've been pretty happy with using Upwork.
What about Sherry? Did we talk to Sherry yet?
No, or Melissa.
Sherry. Yeah, so at the end of the day, we covered a lot of key principles here, right? Quick recap reminder. Well, actually, I'm gonna ping it off y'all. What stood out to y'all the most today as far as takeaways and action items? Frank, what stood out to y'all the most?
For me, what I'm struggling with, but I'm getting better at, is track everything. Right? Good old. I'm gonna hide the organization, but it's just a simple sheet for the daily, right? So that's just on my expired. So it's just now pen and paper for everything else is for me the tracking, right? So right now I know that I'm making my calls. The pickup rate is okay. I have to work on actually getting the appointment, going on the appointment. A lot of mad people today, the first.
Nice work, Frank. Thank you for sharing. That's awesome.
Did we know about the iPhone update? Does anyone we have iPhones? So if you take a picture of your handwritten notes and make it somewhat legible, you can actually copy and paste the whole text from your iPhone photo.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm a note taker. I also love the AI, like the summary, but I can also supplement my own notes into digital, so that way I don't have to reference which notebook I wrote my notes in. So
like that. Okay.
It's a great system. I like it.
Jennifer, what is your takeaway and action items?
I can't believe that real estate agents are between 36 to 72 touches to get the clients now. Is that a nationwide or is that regional to Texas at this point?
Nationwide.
Wow.
And I have a client here in Colorado Springs that does 200 touches to his database.
That's crazy.
There was a statistic done. People forget who you are or what you do every 17 days. Yeah. So let's go overboard. Let's not let them forget. Let's remind them as much as possible.
It's Greg Cardone, omnipresent.
Oh, you know, I think of him every day and I don't even see his stuff. I'm kidding.
Cardone's everywhere. Yeah, it is. It's staying top of mind. Jennifer, the statistic is that most people, when it comes to buying or selling a home, are going to work with the first two. They're going to work with the first two realtors that they can think of. And so that's the logic behind why so many outreach and touches and remember me popping into people's databases, because they'll just work with the person they remember.
Yeah, was it you and I that were talking about the fake realtor study, Coach?
Fake realtor study.
Yeah, where they created a fake person on social media. And they did a marketing campaign, and then they did a survey with people in that area, and they said, hey, who's the #1 realtor in the area? And most people said that guy, but he was a make-believe person. It was just the way that they marketed to him.
I believe it. I believe it. Yeah. Yeah. It's all about positioning.
Exactly. Folks, I want to thank you so much for going all in on this call and sharing your thoughts and questions. This was really cool, and so glad to meet everybody today. It's awesome.
Frank, all you have to do is take the photo, take a regular photo of your notes, press and hold the text, copy all, and then put it in your email, put it in your wherever you want it to go. It might need a little bit of finessing because it doesn't understand like all my bullet points because I always like sub down, but yeah, 90% of it's right there. Sorry, Greg. I didn't mean to.
Oh, I just saw your question here. That's great.
I love that. Well, Greg, I want to thank you so much for coming and sharing with us. I want to thank everyone for their time today, for being involved on the call. Next steps, you will always get an invite into my free email, which is the Catalyst Connection. So speaking of automations, this is my 52-year automation. Literally, Anna and I worked together to pull this together. So you get a weekly email delivered to me with thought-provoking information. You get reflection questions. It's like having Coach Lindsay in your inbox every single week. So definitely subscribe and look out for our next mastermind next month. Anna, who do we have?
Oh no, I'm not prepared.
Oh no, I'm putting it on the spot.
You're putting me on the spot, but let me find out real quick.
Okay, I was gonna say, I think it's Erica West.
You're right. It's Erica West, when we're talking about lead gen within your database.
Yes. So that should be a really amazing session. You'll get a link to the replay from Greg's session today so you can watch it. Anna's going to be sending that out next week. And I am super excited that you guys are with us today. I know we're 3 minutes over. Thank you guys so much for your time. Greg, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I look forward to seeing everybody next month.
Let's do it. Y'all have a great day.